Here we are with Joe Giese. How's it going, Joe? So, I think we're going to wrap some cables today, is that correct?
We are going to wrap this cable.
Excellent.
This is a standard orange XLR cable. So, there's a couple different techniques. We're going to start with the simple. This is how most people wrap cables.
That's an exact representation of how it's done, too.
Oh, and then there's this Velcro here, so I'm just going to wrap it around.
Oh,
perfect.
Cool.
Look at that.
Now, would you say that that is the ideal way to wrap the cables?
Is the ideal way to give me a heart attack.
Really?
So,
okay.
I'm actually, like, my blood pressure just went up a few points, so I'm just going to go ahead and
can't be
undo
healthy.
that. Okay. So we're gonna do the basic one, and this is what I do for about 90% of the cables. And this is just the looping method. So I always start at the male end, which is also where I always put my Velcro. That's just me.
Whoa, all right.
But
learn a lot about Joe. All right,
you know,
here we go.
And instead of just pulling it around into my hand, you're gonna give it a little half twist with your fingers, like this, a little half twist up and around, so that it sits. Because you actually want the cable to be spinning along this axis as you coil it.
Oh, nice.
So every time you put another coil on, you put another twist in it, a half twist. So there's a half twist, another half twist, and another half twist, and another half twist. And then I always try and get the two connectors to be hanging from the top, so when you wrap the Velcro, it's nice and perfect. And then it hangs from that, and you're done.
Very nice.
So the other common technique is the over-under technique. And that is where you do a half twist one way, and then the next one you do a half twist the other way and let the loop of the coil sit on the inside.
Do that slowly again, because I know people are going to...
So here we go. Can you see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. We're going to do one loop this way.
Right.
See how it's on the outside? It's like we're making a big spiral this way. Except the next one, I'm going to take and I'm going to spin the cable, spinning it this way, between my thumb and forefinger. Spin it the other way, and it's going to sit right in between the two like that. So it makes kind of a little cross over like that. And then the next one we spin the regular way, and then this one we spin the other way again. And that is a perfect over-under. Now, the downside to over-under is that if I take it apart the other way, if I grab this end first by accident, this is the end I started with, and I pull it, you get
perfect little knots.
Yep. This kind of turned into one big one, but a lot of times you'll get one knot, another knot, another knot, another knot. And that you don't want. And that's because every time you alternate that coil, if you take it apart backwards, you're actually getting an overhand knot. And you can see this made a bunch of loops that I just undid, and there's a little knot in there.
Now, I do have a technique to show people how to take those out quickly.
Well, the trick is to just... Oh, to take the knots out quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we'll cut back to that. Insert AaronG's trick here.
Yeah.
So here's a little trick. A lot of you, if you do the over-under, like so I'm going to do this kind of, I'll do it kind of small. So do it like that. We're going to go here. We're going to go like that. Here. Then I'm going under like that. And do it again, just because we can. Like that. Well, a lot of times what happens is, if this gets crossed in, like that, then this happens. So I have these little knots here, and that's not cool. So the fast way of getting rid of these knots is to do this. You gather the knots together like this. You gather the knot together just like that. Then you take this end, the one that's on top, put it through all of them, and it'll all be done. See? Do it one more time. So I'll make them small again. That's over, under, and then this is going to go right in here. There's actually a knot trick that you do this in like magic books. So this time we got 3 knots. See, just like that. So if you're in a hurry, like this has happened to me on a job where it's like, oh, you take the thing out and you throw it. It's like, oh, perfect knots, drat! So you take them like this, you grab it just like that, take that one, grab it just like that, grab this one just like that, and then you find out whichever one is on the outside, you take it, put it right back through, and then all the knots are gone. Just like that. QuestionableAudio.com.
So if we go back and we do this wonderful over-under, if you take it apart the right way, it's wonderful because now the cable is not twisted up. And when you pull it off, it just peels right off and you're done. So that's wonderful. You get the same effect if you figure eight coil something. Because when I do a figure eight, essentially you're getting a twist one way, and then by the time it comes here, it's twisting the other way. Now this cable isn't going to look very pretty coiling in a figure eight because it's not really trained to do that. And yes, you have to train your cables, because eventually the rubber will learn to lay the right way. So it doesn't really look pretty, but that's a figure eight. And same thing, it peels off really nicely.
I tend to do that with smaller cables, like headphone cables and stuff like that,
cool.
so that it can be done around your hands. And I might show people how to do that.
Yep. So then the other method, the only other thing I use is if I've tested a cable and I know that it's bad, is I do the end for end thing. Because this is a terrible way to store your cables in general. Loop it in a knot. That's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of stress on the little coppers in there, and they don't like it. But this is a great way for me to remember this cable is bad, don't use it. Because it stands out. So the pros and cons, and kind of my guideline, is if a cable's under 30 feet, if it's 20, 25 foot or under, I just do the loop method where I just keep giving it that half twist. Because then it doesn't matter which, those are the commonly used cables. It doesn't matter what order you pull them out in, it comes out. Sometimes you gotta give it a little shake to untwist, but it's really easy. The over-under technique is great for really long cables, because then it's usually more obvious which way it started and where it's finished, and it's easy to take them apart. The over-under is really also a good way to coil thick cable, like a snake, or big power cables, or big speaker cables that are really thick and heavy. That over-under thing, you can hold and stack the coils up on your arm. It's also an easy way to coil something into a box, like if you're coiling a snake into a stage box. Figure eights or over-under is a really handy way to do that, because you can coil it from the middle of the line. So if these two ends are fixed, if I'm doing the loop method in the middle, trying to pick up this nasty slack here, these are going to have to twist, and eventually they're going to get a bunch of twists in them like this.
And that's if you do
the coil method. If you do over-under, both ends can be fixed, and since each time you're adding a half twist one way, then untwisting it half the other way, back and forth, you can get a perfect little coil right in the middle of this, like that, without these ends ever moving.
Nice.
There you go.
Very cool.
That's all I got.
Y'all ready for that? It's the show. When the intro goes, we don't have the control yet, but we're doing the best that we can, because it's the internet and everything happens faster than we can think. So we didn't have time to do